Oh, it's okay. All right.
In the 116th meeting of the game, the Ohio State Buckeyes face the Michigan Wolverines this weekend. It's a huge game with huge implications, both for CFP hopeful Ohio State Buckeyes and the rivalry that consists between these two fan bases. Me and Dustin are super excited about this game, as always. The rivalry is strong as ever. Even some would say it's not. But we're excited. We're going to get into it. We're going to recap Penn State a little bit. We're mainly focused on this upcoming game. All right, Dustin, you ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I am here with my host, Dustin Nelson, as always. We are actually on our very first Skype call because we were both home for Thanksgiving. And we actually had a really, a week, pretty much a week off of school, right? So we couldn't really get into the studio. We were both on some different schedules. So this will be a cool experiment for potential shows in the future. Dustin, how you doing? How was Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was nice and relaxing. Watched a little bit of football, ate a lot of food. The usual good Thanksgiving vibes. How about you?
So I ate so much food, and I actually played football yesterday morning, which is something that I've noticed that each year, and since I graduated high school, it's getting harder and harder to do. I know that they say that they're like, oh, the older you get, blah blah blah. But I literally was playing football yesterday, and as I was in the middle of the game, I was like, I can feel my hamstrings starting to get sore. Like that's the first time that's happened. I woke up this morning, both of my legs are super sore, my back is killing me, but it was a lot of fun. And I didn't attempt to play tackle. I'm way too old to be playing tackle now. So this was just two-hand touch we're talking about, but it was really fun, and the food was great. I ate so much. My stomach was, that painful feeling you get when you eat so much that your stomach's like literally rock hard.
Yeah.
That was me all day. Thanksgiving is the best.
Successful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's the best worst holiday because you eat so much great food, but you're like miserable all day because you're so full. But it was a good experience. Watched some football, got to see a lot of my family. The weather actually wasn't too bad. I mean, in years past, it's been snowing and super cold and rainy even. But this year we had some pretty good weather. So, yeah, it was a good day yesterday.
Good to hear.
So this week, we're going to recap some Penn State stuff. So if you want to hop right into it.
Yeah,
so you can talk about some stuff, your game stories from Penn State.
Yeah, so overall, the game wasn't too cold. It was going to be a cold one. And
it's supposed to rain heavily, too.
Yeah, exactly. And we even were outside for a little while before the game, tailgating a little bit, getting ready for it. It was just a really good time in the morning. Was not bad at all, honestly. I was expecting it to be a lot worse. I bundled up with a bunch of layers, obviously. But once we got there, it was not that bad. And I think it's just the being surrounded by people. It definitely keeps you warm, blocks off the wind. Because I know that true. With the Maryland game, it was really warm when everyone was there. But as soon as people left, it got cold. But it was good.
Got freezing.
It wasn't it didn't feel as exciting as past Penn State games, especially because we kind of controlled it for the most part the entire game. I never really had any worries, even though they got within 4 points. I really never had that that worry that I would normally get in a Penn State game, especially the last 2 years. But I mean, we just controlled that game, and it really felt like a good, nice game to end my college career. Yeah,
it actually got a little bit more close for comfort for me. But you're right. You're completely right. I never really thought that the game was ever really in jeopardy. And with that being said, I thought that the final score definitely wasn't a good indicator of how the game actually went. It was a lot closer on the scoreboard than it was in the actual game.
Definitely.
And one thing that I thought was interesting was when they had Sean Clifford in, who was their starter at the time, they couldn't do anything. They were, I mean, I'm looking in here. It was 21-0 when Sean Clifford went down. And then within 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes, it was 17-21 with their backup in, who was Will Levis, who absolutely he was a lightning rod for that offense, you know.
Yeah, freshman just ran the draw play like a million times and it worked on us nonstop.
He was running the read option, but I don't even know if he was reading anything, and he was just pulling it every time, and he was getting like 8 yards a pop, you know. But like I said, I wasn't really ever too worried, and I think some people kind of looking forward into the Michigan game are like, I don't know if we're going to be able to stop Shea Patterson, who does very similar things as far as being able to run the ball. But I think a lot of that is, you know, they didn't game plan for Levis this week.
Exactly.
He kind of was just thrown into the role as where Sean Clifford is completely different than Will Levis. Yeah. And I mean, I'll read his stat line. Before he got hurt, he played an entire half. He was 10 of 17 for 71 yards. He was very underwhelming, and I never thought that he was impressive at all.
No, not at all. I mean, we completely controlled Sean Clifford, and like you said, it was because that's who we prepared for. I mean, we expected to have a pass-heavy quarterback, and then when you change it up and you bring in the backup in, the freshman, and you have no tape on him besides a little bit of
nothing
backup stuff in blowouts, like you're not going to look at that when you prepare for a game like this. And that's like what happens in the NFL every year. I mean, as Browns fans, I think we know that the best. Whatever we would bench our starter or our starter would get hurt, and the backup would come in, they would do well. All of a sudden, they'd lead to a touchdown. Then you start and they suck. You know,
yeah, sign them. But we assign them to 4 years first.
Yeah, exactly.
4-year extension first. So we're still paying. We're still paying Brian Hoyer somehow. So here's something interesting. So Will Levis, he was 6 for 11. 57 yards in a pick. His QBR was actually worse than Sean Clifford. I think it's because of the interception, though. The interesting part of it, though, is Will Levis, 18 carries, 34 yards, 1 touchdown. 18 carries. They're starting running back Jay Brown, 11 carries for 64 yards. Will Levis actually was only averaging 1.9 yards per carry, which is a lot less than I thought he was. I thought he was gassed the entire game.
That's true, honestly. The entire second half. I bet that's just because of, like, sacks, though. He probably gained a lot more than that. I mean, one of his runs, like his longest run was like 10 yards. And I'm sure he didn't get 24 yards only in the other 17 carries.
But how many times did he get sacked? Maybe like 6? I don't even know.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's just like, it's crazy, though, when you look at it, because Justin Fields had 21 carries and got his career high in rushing yards with 68. And yet Will Levis played half a game and still had almost as many carries. Like, it's insane.
Right. And when we were watching it, well, going back to Justin Fields thing, I honestly, like, this is the first week I can honestly say that the play calling wasn't at its best.
Yeah, it was a little. But I was going to get into that a little bit. Do you think it was almost just because they knew that they could beat them without doing anything special, especially after that first drive where we just ran it the entire drive and we scored easily? And then we're like, okay, I think we got this game. If we continue to do this game plan, let's save all of our special stuff for Michigan. Absolutely. That's like kind of how I feel. And I hope that's true.
The only thing is, though, this is the only thing I have that doesn't agree with that. I do think, because we were handily beating them. I mean, it was 2 turnovers and short field position away from being 28-0, 30, probably even like 35-0 final score.
I mean, we fumbled on a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, 2 fumbles and great field position. The only thing is that in a game where we are up and handily winning, I'm not comfortable with Justin Fields getting hit 20 times, you know? Like you said, I mean, we should have won. How many times did he carry the ball? He carried it 21 times.
Yeah.
21 times. He got sacked. I'm sure he got, let me see here, 3 times. So he's getting hit 25 times a game, you know?
Yeah.
In a game that we should have walked away with, you know, handily. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. just because like even at the end there, you saw him go down, and I thought our whole season went up in flames, because it didn't
was
look good.
Especially when in that play we were already winning. We basically had the game wrapped up, and it was fourth down.
Dude, it was fourth down. Yeah.
Yeah. It was when I watched it in the game. I was like, it's okay. This is like I would do the same thing. Like I would expect my coach to do the same thing. It's you got to get that first down to win the game. Just close it out. We could have easily gotten it, but then we have him like run the ball, or was it just a sack? I don't remember. I think he ran
it. I think he ran it.
And it's like, why put him into that risk when you didn't have to? Like if you're gonna run fourth down, pass it or hand it off to J.K. Dobbins. Get it out of his hands. And it kind of gave you that scary feel like it was Tua again, where he went down. But that's the thing with Tua is like people ask like, should he have been brought out so he never got hurt? Yeah. But like Saban basically said, I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
Like he wishes he didn't get hurt, but he would do it all over again because that's how the game plan goes. You don't prepare for someone to get hurt. You don't expect it.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I agree with the decision to go for it. The play call. I mean, I'm sure if it would have worked and he would have been, if he would have stood, like walked out of the sideline, if he would have just walked out of the sideline first down, I would have been like, oh, great call. I would have do it 100 times out of 100. Yeah. It just happened that he kind of got beat up on. It's easy to say that looking back on it, but if it was me, I love the decision, the play call, not so much. Because I just don't like my quarterback getting hit, I don't like that necessary risk.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was true. What was that?
I said Justin Fields is a human tree trunk, so I don't know if he actually can get hurt. I mean, his legs are absurd.
Exactly. I'd much rather him get hit like that than, say, someone like Trevor Lawrence if he was our quarterback, for example.
Chugging off.
I was trying to think of a scrawny quarterback we've had in the past, but Dwayne Haskins and JT, they could take their hits. Maybe Braxton Miller a little bit. He was injury prone.
Did you this is a little side tangent, but did you watch any of that Redskins game?
I just watched some highlights.
So Dwayne Haskins, it was like 3rd and 13, and he had a scramble, and he looked nice. He looked nice.
Like,
he scrambled for the first down.
Whenever I was watching the Redskins games, he has been like scrambling a lot better than he used to. And honestly,
line doesn't block for him.
Yeah, that's true. He did have like a couple runs even. Like I was like, what? Did they watch any of his college film? Do they know that he can't run the ball? But he was like successful with the run a couple times. So I was like, okay, go for it.
It was a huge 3rd down on that game-winning drive, and it was like a 3rd and 13, and he had a 15-yard scramble or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, like. He was kind of moving, too. He was moving. It's not like he was just, like, rumbling and stumbling. He was moving.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate with the team he's with right now because honestly, is there any organization that's more, like, a mess right now than the Redskins? Maybe the Bengals. That's about it. Like, the Dolphins are tanking and they're bad, but they know what they're doing at the same time. But the Redskins just are so, like, and the Bengals are just so confused on what they want to do and everything. It's just weird.
Yeah, I think that it's probably the Redskins are the most dysfunctional because even though like the Bengals like first year head coach, like I don't know what to expect, but I do agree that the Bengals they would have kept Andy Dalton all year, they would have 3 or 4 wins right now.
True.
Like easily, like they would have won the last 4 games. They were easily winnable, and Ryan Finley's he's not the answer. He's not the truth.
And that's the thing. It's like, are they trying to lose or are they not trying to lose? Because now they put Andy Dalton back in. Like, I don't know.
I think they want that one. I think they want that one win, and then he's coming right back out.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of Dwayne Haskins, he got that first win finally in his NFL career, but he missed the final snap. He was on the sideline.
How do you do that, man?
I know, just taking pictures with fans, selfies with the fans, and they had to rush Case Keenum out there to do the final snap, the kneel down, because he wasn't even paying attention. It was embarrassing, but it
Very
happens.
embarrassing.
It's a rookie thing, even though it's never happened. It's a rookie thing.
I was gonna say, you said it happened, and I'm thinking it does. That happens.
Rookie mistakes happen, but I don't know about selfies. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I was very embarrassed by that, but you know what? He didn't seem too fazed by it, so
No.
I'm cool
And
with
no
it.
one was dogging about it. But the funny thing is that I didn't realize this, but in the NFL, apparently, they get paid by play. So, like, with
You
his
lost money on
contract,
it.
yeah, he basically just lost money off of that, yeah. The new CBA has them get paid by play. So, the smaller contract guys get paid a bunch per play, so that way, if they're only playing, like, a series in a game, they're getting their money's worth. But like the big guys get paid like very minimal per play, so that way they're forced to play every play. And Dwayne Haskins missed the play, so he missed some money.
That's interesting. That's some interesting insight there that I didn't know.
Yeah, I just learned about that because of what happened with Dwayne Haskins. Yeah.
So he probably lost like a few $100 from it.
Yeah, I don't know what it broke down to, but it could have been a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But money is money, so.
Yeah, he's probably kicking himself. Now that he knows
from
that,
selfies.
he didn't look particularly good either. I was pretty much watched the entire game, and he had Terry McLaurin wide open, dude, wide open. So you know how that play that the Browns ran where Jarvis Landry was coming across in the drag route in the red zone, and he was wide open, nobody within 30 yards of him. They ran that same play with Terry McLaurin. Nobody within 30 yards of him, and Dwayne overthrew him in the end zone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no.
He is not looking like the quarterback from OSU right now, but he's still developing. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing is, like, Terry McLaurin is at, like, a wide receiver 1 level already. Like, he's ready to start on any team, be, like, a top receiver for any team right now. But just Dwayne Haskins is not at his level, and they just can't get on the same page because – Terry McLaurin had a huge improvement in the offseason, where Dwayne Haskins is basically the same guy he was last year at Ohio State, hasn't had that NFL development yet. And that's why I think that connection is kind of out of the door, like thrown out the door that they had from OSU, because they're not the same players anymore.
And I would think that what's happening with Terry McLaurin is much crazier and more rare than what's happening to Dwayne Haskins. You know, I would expect Dwayne Haskins to struggle coming in to his rookie year. I would never expect Terry McLaurin just to be some beast rookie of the year candidate, you know?
Exactly.
It's just, it's fun though. I'm actually going to tune into Redskins games. They're kind of like Saints games. Like you get to watch Buckeyes play, you know, on Sunday. So
that's very true.
So you want to hop back into this Penn State game?
Yeah, back to the Penn State game. Game started real quick. So was it emotional at all for you, or last Ohio State game as a student?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't tear up.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't tear up. I didn't. Go ahead. You're the emotional one.
My bold prediction last week was that we'd rush the field, which we did, so that part was right, and that I would cry at the game. And surprisingly enough, I did not cry. I did not cry at the game. I did like get a little emotional.
Yeah.
Especially when like we officially got that win and everything. Like it was fully. We knew we got it. And I like sat in a little bit more. I got a little emotional, but I did not cry. I think I was just too much like in the moment. Did not really like it didn't set in really at all during the game.
Right.
Like, this was like I tried when we did rush the field. I tried to just sit there and stand and look around the stadium and just take it all in and think like it's the last game. I tried to get myself emotional. I just couldn't. It's like the idea that I knew that I was planning on the Michigan game, which I am. And I knew I was trying to go to the Big Ten championship game, which I am. So it was like both those things. And then like I knew for a fact this was not going to be my last game at the shoe. So I think it's just like that aspect of things, like that the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't the same, you know. So I think like that aspect of things. But I did tear up my first game, and I did tear up Michigan. I think when we won my first year because it was just such a big game. But this game, it was still emotional for me. Just did not cry. So my prediction. So
I thought, yeah. Well, this is what I thought. I think a few things played into it. One, the game I knew was kind of in hand for a while. So, like with that Michigan game a few years ago, like you didn't know what was going to happen. So I think that played into it. One of the
craziest games we ever witnessed. Yeah.
Right. And then this year it was already in hand. And like, I think if it was Michigan, it would have been different. Like, so if it was the last home game and it was Michigan, but it's like this Penn State rivalry wants to be forced down our throats so much.
Exactly.
It's kind of like just playing like Wisconsin or something,
Yeah.
Would you have cried or would you have teared up if we played Wisconsin and beat them 28-17 and Wisconsin was number 8? Like,
not at all. Yeah.
Not really. It's like, I think this Penn State rivalry thing is kind of being forced on us by Penn State fans.
Yeah, true.
One thing I wanted to bring up, though, was did you see the backlash on mostly Twitter about the Ohio State fans rushing the field? What did you think about that?
I did, and it was kind of ridiculous because I know that, like, we're biased because we were the ones rushing the field, and I had a great time rushing the field. I got on the field much faster than usual, which was a lot nicer.
Yeah.
We did not have to wait at all. My one buddy, he actually jumped over the railing to go down, and one of the cops grabbed him and was like, "You're not allowed to do that." And he grabbed him and he held him and was like, "You're staying here. If you move, you're arrested." So he was like basically detained. He's detained for a little bit. And then my other buddy started to do it because he didn't realize he got taken away, and he was like, "Don't even think about it." So he had to like back up too, but he did end up catching back up to us. They let him go, but my buddy was detained for a little bit. For no reason. It was stupid that they would do that. Like, half the stadium doing the exact same thing.
Was it a police officer or was it one of the yellow jacket people?
It was one of those yellow jacket people, yeah.
Oh, come on now.
Exactly. Security guards, not even really much authority. Yeah.
Right.
So he ended up just leaving them, and he got on the field. He met up with us, so that was good at least. But the tweets were just kind of ridiculous because, yeah, we were 20-point favorites. Yeah, big whoop, but it was the final game. Like, what are we supposed to do when we're favored in every game? Are we not allowed to do it? Like, are we not allowed to have a good time?
That's true. And it was mostly like other schools. Like, it was like, I saw it was like Barstool, PSU did it, and Clemson even said something about it. Maybe
yeah.
Does that ring a bell to you? Like,
I would believe it. I didn't see it, but I would believe it.
It might have not been Clemson, but it was like people like 20-point favorites, and you storm the field, really. And it's like, but they don't understand that for at least at the very minimum, a quarter of the students that are in the stadium, that's their last game ever.
Yeah.
And it's
we've done it every year.
Right, exactly.
We rushed the field against Michigan freshman year, against Penn State sophomore year. Those two games, understandable. It was a huge game. It came down to the wire, to the last play. Yeah. But then, like, last year even, we won 62-37 it was, or something like that, against Michigan. We still rushed the field for that. Like, I mean, it was technically an upset because we were the lower-seeded team, but, I mean, we're just something you enjoy, and that's something that we do every single year. Like, it's literally like whenever they play, get people hyped for the Michigan OSU game, one of the things that they play as like a highlight is people taking down the field goal post and running away with it. Like, it's like there's a thing that OSU does is we rush the field, and that's true. Hope that never stops. Like, I'm sorry that your other school isn't as fun. Like, literally.
And one of my favorite yellow security guards, the little triangle they make around the field goal post. That's pretty funny. And the videos always after of them all biking from down High Street. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Like all 300 of them or whatever biking down High Street to the stadium. Yeah. It's hilarious.
I talked to the one guy the one time that I met in Chicago. He said that he was at Ohio State the year that we went to the national championship in 2002, and and he said that I think it was 2002. It was either 2002 or 2006 when we beat Michigan, and they took down the field goal post and they brought it down Lane Avenue.
No way.
And he said he looked out his dorm and he just saw a field goal post. Like, what the? But I don't believe that at the same time because how were they?
Why wasn't he at the game? Yeah. And why wasn't he at the game? What a loser.
I think he was like a grad student at the time, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He was a former cheerleader, so I don't know why he wouldn't be at the game.
I would love to see a goalpost going down High Street. That would be awesome.
I still don't know how that got out of the stadium because it would not fit anywhere. But so I don't believe it. But at the same time, it's a crazy story.
That is crazy. We'll run with it though. We're gonna say that's true.
But in getting into the game, what was your favorite moment of that Penn State game?
Yeah, Miles, what's up, buddy?
Miles, yeah.
My favorite moment of the game. That's tough because there was a lot of them. I think that your prediction of 2.5 sacks for Chase Young was pretty. I thought that was pretty bold, and that ended up being the over. I think what we set it at 2 or 2.5. I don't remember.
He had 3.
Yeah, no. What did we set the over under at though?
Oh, we set it at 2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
2.
I said push.
Yeah. We had an over under of 2.5. So.
Yeah, and then it hit the over. I thought that was pretty awesome. That wasn't a singular moment, but I thought that was something that was pretty cool. The Justin Hilliard interception was really cool, just knowing that guy and the kind of stuff that he's gone through.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a fifth-year guy. For the people that don't know about Justin Hilliard, he's a fifth-year guy. Hasn't been a starter this year or any time in his 5 years that he's been here.
He was a 5-star guy. Like, he was supposed to be the guy coming in here.
And he's an Ohio guy. He was the number 1 guy coming out of Ohio. So, like, that made it an even bigger deal because of the fact that he was an Ohio guy. Came in here, and he was, like, probably considered by many the biggest disappointment, like, that we've had in the past 5 years. Because,
absolutely.
Like, not to be, like, against him or anything like that. It's not like it was his fault. He had a lot of injuries. And he just never fully developed into that starter that we were hoping for from him. But, I mean, I love to see it. Like, he's been giving a lot of valuable, like, minutes, like, we're just as, like, a sub to give some people a break. And he delivered in this game big time. That interception was huge.
It was actually, like, a pretty big interception, too. It wasn't just, like, scrub time interception. Like, they were driving down by a score at that point, I think. And, he comes up with a pretty cool interception too. I mean, he kind of got the ball thrown right at him, but those are tough to make. You try to catch a ball, somebody whipped at you from 5 yards away. You know, it's like that's
when you're
tough.
not ready for it at all. Yeah.
So that was a huge moment. I don't know if that was my favorite.
No, the Justin Hilliard thing was definitely something I wrote down. I also love the Chris Olave catch, that circus catch that he had in the end zone for the touchdown. That was an insane catch. Yeah.
Why? I mean, I can't believe that this kid just came out of nowhere like that, you know?
No, it's ridiculous. And I can't believe we get a whole nother year with him of that Justin Fields, Chris Olave, like, connection. Like, that's been his favorite receiver, and I can't wait to see him develop into, like, an even better player, which is crazy. It's going to be him and Garrett Wilson leading that receiving core. And I'm, like, that's the thing is, like, last year, after that, we had an amazing receiving core with Johnny Dixon, Paris Campbell, and Terry McLaurin. Everyone's like, oh, what are we going to do without them? Oh, yeah, we still have KJ Hill, Benjamin Victor, and Austin Mack. Oh, and Chris Olave.
Yeah.
So then,
and Garrett Wilson, 5-star kid coming in.
Exactly. So then now we're going to lose Benjamin Victor, KJ Hill, and Austin Mack. Should we be worried? No, because we have Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, and then we have another 5-star coming in, right? He comes in.
We have like 3 of them coming in.
Yeah.
We have. Dude, the kids that we have coming in are absurd.
Yeah.
The number 1 receiver in the country committed to Ohio State in the state championship game.
Year, right?
I think he's coming in next year. Yeah, he'll be a freshman next year. But he in his, like, state championship game, he had like 5 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's just absurd. And then G. Scott Jr., who's coming in, like, he's going to be a beast. Like, we'll be all right. And it's actually going to be exciting because there are going to be a lot of really young guys as where the majority, I would say, of our receiving right now with KJ Hill, Austin Mack, and Ben Victor are old heads, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But everyone loves some new meat.
I guess. And then Garrett Wilson will have a year under him, and he's just going to explode next year. He's going to be crazy next year.
Like, he's honestly, I feel like, been getting better every single game watching him. He had a big first down in the Penn State game. He had 2 catches for 21 yards, but that one catch, 16 yards. He had, like, 3 guys, like, wrapping him up. He just knocked him down, spun around, and gained some more yards after the catch. And he's definitely looking better every game. As once he fully develops into like a number one guy with Garrett Wilson, there's no end to what he can do.
Yeah, I mean he's a true freshman, and he's limited by opportunity. He only gets so much opportunity in the game. I think he had 2 receptions and I think 2 punt returns. Yeah, 2 punt returns. And just think of the whole offseason of this kid developing and stuff. Like, you saw what happened between Chris Olave in one season. Like, we knew he was a beast, but like this year, like, man, he is like awesome. He really is awesome.
And Chris Olave was like super scrawny last year, and he was successful.
Super scrawny. Now he's got a huge beard.
Yeah, and his beard too is huge.
It's huge.
He looks like he's like aged 5 years in the offseason.
Yep. Yeah.
But like even with Garrett Wilson, like 2 catches, like that's not even bad when you look at like everyone had 2 catches on the team except for KJ Hill, who had 4. So 2 catches, like that's a good game for him, especially when you compare it to him. Like, we did not pass the ball really at all in this game. It was like Justin Fields was under 200 yards, but he made up for it with his rushing yards. I mean, we were rushing all over them, 229 rushing yards. J.K. Dobbins, huge game once again for him. But like I said, I feel like we didn't do anything huge, special or anything like that. We just won the game because we were the better team, and that was what I loved about it. That was Fields' biggest rushing game in his career. I think that'll be like a big component of the game next week. I think on Saturday against Michigan, I actually really expect him to be running the ball again a lot in that game, because he, like, even against Rutgers, he kind of ran the ball a decent amount. Like, he keeps running the ball more, it seems like. But then again, with the injury, does he not run as much now? I don't know. Like, that's a question as well that you have to think about. I guess we'll see.
Right. I'm not sure what the extent of his injury is, if any at all. It's been
a really weird week for the injury, because, like, it was said to be an ankle injury, and like people were kind of worried it was gonna be a high ankle sprain. But Ryan Day said after the game, he's okay, he's all good. And like all week, he keeps saying he's okay, because they ask every single day, but he's okay apparently. But then like every like Michigan like writer and reporter is trying to make this story that he's injured, so now Michigan has a chance and everything. And like the funny thing is that I keep seeing all these OSU reporters say, nope, he's fine.
Nope, he's fine.
He's trying to make a narrative that he's hurt. Like, I saw one tweet that summed it up well. They're like, well, apparently Justin Fields has a broken thumb, an ankle sprain, knee arthritis. Like, they were just like making like a huge list of things that Justin Fields has, and he's fine. So, I mean, like I said, I hope it's true that he's okay, because you can say that he's okay because you don't want to give them like any advantage, but we'll see if like how he is. I mean, we'll see in the game. So I hope he's okay.
I saw that. Well, there's 2 things that I noticed. One was that, I mean, he ran off the field. He hopped right up. I mean, he was on the ground for a while, but when he hopped up right away, and he ran off the field. He didn't even like walk. He ran off the field, which was obviously an encouraging sign. And then I was actually watching his IG live yesterday. He went live with his friend or something. And like he was completely fine. Like he didn't say anything out, and he was, up and around and walking and stuff. So I'm not worried about it at all. Actually, I kind of even forgot about it, to be honest.
I feel like if it was a worry, they would say something about it, or something would come out of practice, because you would see like Chogunov getting more like first team reps, which hasn't happened, like, or haven't heard about that at all. Like that, it'd be pretty tough to keep that under wraps that he has. But it hasn't been like I haven't even heard Justin Fields has been limited in practice.
Me either.
We haven't like been paying attention super close to all the news that are coming out of the practices and everything. But I think that would be something we would notice if that was true. But
I agree.
Last bit,
I'm not worried about it at all.
No, same here. The last bit I was going to say about the game, the fumbles. That was definitely an issue in that game. Like, if I had to say one weakness from that game, that was the biggest thing. They were extremely disappointing, because the defense would have a nice stop of the offense or something like that. Then we fumble the ball. I mean, like, the Justin Fields fumble at the end zone, that was a very, very, very close. I mean, you could say that. Like I honestly thought he was going to get called down and not lost the ball. Even after the game, I tried to watch some replays, and I still thought the same thing. But it was definitely super close. So it was tough to see which way they were going to go. But then the J.K. Dobbins fumble later, and then the Justin Fields second fumble. It was very upsetting. That was what led them to have that comeback, those 17 points in the third quarter. So if this game rains on Saturday, which it has a chance to do, I'm going to be worried about the fumbles. I'm not going to lie. This has been a more fumble-heavy season a little bit than we're used to. So,
yeah, I thought they were – the J.K. Dobbins one was pretty fluky. He's made that move up. I've seen him make that move, I don't know, on infinity times, and that's never happened.
Yeah.
Penn State has a pretty good defense too, so it's not like they're some scrubs over there. I mean, they got playmakers, and they made a play. Exactly. I'm really not worried about that though. I'm the fumble thing. When you run the ball so much, he's gonna put the ball on the ground, Yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just whether or not it kills you in that situation when you do it, I can't think of, has Justin Fields fumbled any other time this year?
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
That I can think of?
I'll have to look at it, but I mean, that's the thing is with the game like this, I'm just hoping that it was a fluke game with the turnovers and that we get them all out in that game. We'll see though. I mean, I'm trying to see if I can find all of his fumble stats.
A strip sack in the end zone.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a strip sack. It was a safety against Miami.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, right? Unless he strip sacked and whatever. Doesn't matter.
I don't know if they would put it as a fumble still or not, but I think they did, yeah.
So the last time that Ohio State's been down was against Miami week 4, week 5?
I think it was week 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And nobody's talking about that.
I know.
I haven't seen that anywhere. It's like Ohio State hasn't been losing in a game in 2 months.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
We haven't given the people who score the most points on us are Rutgers and Florida Atlantic with 21.
Yeah. And the Rutgers game, our third stringers were in for half the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about the whole thing as much, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Because like you said, if it rains, it's something to keep an eye on. But I think if we have good weather, shouldn't be an issue.
No. Yeah, I'm hoping that the thing is too is a lot of them were a fumble and we just didn't get down on it fast enough. So Penn State just got it. There was definitely with JK and Justin's second one. Those were definitely ones that we could have gotten and they just didn't roll our way. So I hope that that's something that they work on in practice, and I'm sure they do. And then it'll be all over and we won't have to worry about it because fumbles are very fluky. It's not something that just happened a bunch for one team or one person. It's always turnovers in general are fluky.
Very fluky. Very fluky.
But all right, getting into the week. We'll start with basketball real quick. Not to get that out of the way, but to get it out of the way since it hasn't been a very important week for OSU basketball. OSU, they still number 10 in the rankings. They beat Purdue Fort Wayne. It was right. And
I was at the game. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a big game for them, 85-46, and then they beat Kent State 71-52. And the Kent State game was pretty cool because they played at St. John Arena, which they used to play and they haven't played in a while. But it was funny that they played there too because for College Game Day for Penn State, Kirk Herbstreit did a little promo for College Game Day at St. John Arena, and he was like, "I remember when they used to play basketball here because he went to school here. It was they should go back to that. St. John Arena is such a good time, and they should start playing basketball again there." And then the next game, they played it there, so that's kind of funny. But they played him a little close for a while. A lot
of people do say that. A lot of people do say that it's just a different atmosphere.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's probably a lot louder when it's packed. You know,
It's a lot more intimate.
Yeah, the way that it's made. But yeah, we kept them a little closer, but we ended up getting the win 71-52. Then we got Morgan State today, Friday, and then the following game is the big one at North Carolina, number 6, which will be on Wednesday, December 4th. That'll be a huge game on ESPN at 9:30, which kind of sucks because it's a late game. But the nice thing going into that game is that Michigan just beat North Carolina, and Michigan's not ranked at all. They lost their coach, was like the key to their success that everyone kind of attributed it to. But they were able to beat North Carolina, so maybe it gives us a little bit more hope to win that game. Not that we had no hope of winning it, but it was definitely a tough game. So maybe North Carolina not as good as everyone thinks they are.
This year's been really weird. This year's been much madness going on.
Yeah, it feels like March Madness every week.
Right, with number 1 Duke going down this week, Ohio State will be at the very minimum 9 going into the poll. It comes out today, doesn't it? Or no, Monday.
I think it comes out on like Sundays, I think.
Okay, Sunday, yeah. So
not exactly sure.
They'll be at least number 9, if not better. But we haven't played it. We didn't really play anybody good this week.
It's honestly possible that we could end up facing North Carolina, and we could be the higher seeded team, especially after.
What is North Carolina right now?
North Carolina's 6, so I can see them put on to like 11 or something like that, or 9, and we're 10.
Ooh, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. No, we're for sure going to be better than 10.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure they'll still be favored since it's at North Carolina, which is a big deal, especially like when you're going to a place like North Carolina. I'm excited for that game.
Yeah, no, even if we lose, like that's still like a really good test of where we're at, you know.
Exactly.
I thought the Nova game was supposed to be a really good test of where we're at, and we blew them out of the water.
I mean, I guess it was a test to where we were at, so because we were much better. Yeah.
Right.
But then Maryland's 5 now, so that'll be a big game. We play them twice this year. We still got Kentucky, which hopefully will be a closer, like a much better chance in that game as well, because they've lost one already, and then they almost lost again too. And then Michigan State just lost 2, didn't they?
Yep, they lost. Yep, I don't know to who, but they're a 2-loss team already too.
Yeah, so there's only 4 teams left already in the Big Ten that are undefeated, which is kind of crazy.
I would think it would even be better than that, right? Yeah, but that was cool.
Since we're at home, we got dogs. I
like my dog. It's all right. Nobody cares. Everybody loves dogs.
Exactly. If only it was video, I could show everyone.
Yeah, right. It'll make everybody much happier.
Yeah. But football-wise, it's rivalry week. Obviously, a huge week, but getting back to last week, huge game was, especially with CFP ramifications, Oregon lost. They got upset. That was huge. Huge. Basically knocking them out of contention for the CFP. They lost to Arizona State. Herm Edwards got the win.
Herm Edwards, yep, fighting Sun Devils.
Yeah, so that was huge. Really shakes things up for for the CFP. Kind of gives Utah a bigger chance to jump in there. But now the question is, if Utah plays, they will. But if when Utah plays Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, if they win, how valuable of a win is it now? So that's the big question now. Kind of gives Alabama a bigger chance because now Georgia still has to play LSU. Alabama basically will finish the year, if they beat Auburn this week, could finish the year winning out without a conference championship though. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was never a really big believer in Oregon anyway, so I kind of expected that to happen some way or another, you know.
I think we said last week Justin Herbert really not that great of a quarterback, and that kind of was shown in this game.
I thought he was pretty overrated.
Yeah.
Just INT. threw a big late game interception there. Just INT Herbert.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be like the big quarterback last year. going to the draft above Dwayne Haskins. He was supposed to be the number one guy going, and he decided to stay. Like maybe that's kind of a hint to how good he really was the fact that he decided not to go. He felt that he wasn't ready for it.
I know Mel Kiper loves him, but something that's interesting here is that you kind of knew where the committee was on this because they moved Oregon down 8 spots from 6 to 14, or no.
Yeah,
what's 14 minus 8? Is this okay? Yeah, 6 and 14. Oh, hi, puppy. So
they're a little out of control right now.
No, that's okay. Yeah, they moved them from 6 to 14. So I mean, they took a massive hit after a loss. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of tells you where the committee was on them the entire time.
Yeah, they were super uncertain about it. I think they were going to probably keep them at, like, if they were to win out, they were probably going to keep them at 6 most of the time, not put them in the CFP because it just shows how they really did not value them at all. But But yeah,
so we have Baylor moving up a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. Like, just getting into CFP, yeah, Baylor gets up there, kind of adds value to that Oklahoma win against Baylor, and they'll probably play against each other again in the Big 12 championship game, which kind of gives Oklahoma that hope to get into the CFP because they're up to 7 now. So I mean, it's literally that 4th spot. I mean, it's basically down to 4 teams. You got Georgia, Alabama, Utah, and Oklahoma. I mean, the question is who gets it, and we'll get into that later. That's my burning questions for you, but
okay.
Give a little hint into that. Well,
start thinking about it.
Nothing huge to write home about with the CFP rankings, but the biggest thing, obviously, is OSU being number 1, jumping LSU to number 1.
That was very surprising to me because I thought Ohio State more to keep their spot at number 1 the week against Maryland than they did to earn the number 1 spot this week against Penn State. I don't know how you feel about that, if that even makes sense.
I mean, like, a lot of people did say if we beat Penn State, we'll probably be going up to 1. Like, that's enough reason for us to jump LSU because apparently the committee loves OSU's team this year. They're obsessed with it. They think that we're the best team on the offensive and defensive side. But they just need another game to prove that, and I guess this is what they needed. You know, I mean, even though the score wasn't like huge, like showing that, but you could see in the stats like we controlled that game completely.
I'm sure that the committee watches the games too. I'm sure they're not just like stat guys. Yeah, they just look at the after. So I'm sure like they watched the game when they like knew how me and you watched the game. Like it really wasn't even particularly close at any points. Like the score is way closer than the actual game was. You know.
Yeah.
I mean there was no real threat there. Even after 2 costly mistakes that if any other team would have happened to, you know, that would have crumbled them, you know, two touchdowns early in the second half, but we obviously bounced right back and the game was never really in question. So I see where they're coming from. I mean, this team is incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that the committee does not watch every single game for the whole game. And let's be honest, I'm sure they were more likely to watch the OSU Penn State game than they were to watch LSU against Arkansas. So
absolutely,
that's a big thing too. But I'm super pumped about us being 1, not just because it is number 1, which is obviously always great, but I'm super pumped about it because it basically sets us in as that number 1 team. I think that because of the fact that we still have Michigan and Minnesota/Wisconsin on our schedule, that's 2 really good wins.
Quality wins.
Like LSU, they have Georgia, but we still have valuable wins that won't give us any reason to go down. So I hope that this means that we end the year winning out and stay at 1, which I would love because I would love to play whoever is at 4 seed, whether it's Georgia, Alabama, Utah, or Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Then I would much rather play them than I would play Clemson because Clemson, they're getting good right at the right time. They're starting to look at that championship team from last year. So I do not want to play them in the semifinal. Let LSU play them. Let LSU prove that they're that team, and then we'll take LSU in the championship and we'll face them. I would love to have that happen because I like just looking at those 4 teams. I think we can beat Georgia. I think we can beat Utah. I think we can beat Oklahoma. Alabama is the biggest test, but I still think we can beat them, especially with Tua out.
Well, exactly. With Tua out, I would love to face Bama. Georgia is still difficult. I mean, they're still Georgia. They still have a pretty solid quarterback and a pretty solid team. You know, I mean, can't really discount them out too much. Utah, I think that we could probably beat pretty handily. Kind of similar to how we played Washington last year, where they're, pretty highly ranked team, but it wasn't really particularly close. And Oklahoma scares me a little bit too, just because they're so explosive. I know that their defense is trash, but I mean, in those high scoring games, like Oklahoma's used to doing that, and Ohio State isn't used to scoring 50 points a game when they need to,
Yeah.
So I don't know how we would react in a situation where we are forced to score points every drive. It's just a different style of play than, Oklahoma's used to that, I mean, they know that they have to score pretty much every drive to stay in the game, or they have to score a lot to stay in the game. Whereas Ohio State, I mean, they can lean on their defense. So, which will prevail in that, an Ohio State defense or an Oklahoma offense? That's a huge question for that game.
Exactly. And like the biggest aspect of that game, if we were to play Oklahoma, is just Jalen Hurts. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, he's not going to win the Heisman. Joe Burrow probably has it locked up. But with Jalen Hurts, it's debatable. He's still probably the most talented college player right now, like quarterback-wise. So
absolutely.
Just having to face him is obviously a huge deal. So I think we can beat them, but I would still, because I still think Georgia's a good team, but still, like if you put Justin Fields in that situation, a little bit of a revenge game for him against Georgia, and I think Georgia's not as great as they are from like the past 2 years.
Yeah,
I would love to face Georgia or even Utah. Because Utah, they've got some good wins, but you can't tell me that the talent that they have is better than any of the teams like OSU, LSU, Clemson, or Georgia. Like the talent, the guys that they're getting are not a bunch of 5 stars like everyone else has.
I mean, you can really only play to their schedule. I mean, they can only face who they face. Exactly. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them for being that high up, but they also really haven't had like a real challenge yet. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Like they haven't played. I mean, I don't even know. Have they played anybody in the top 15? Oregon, right? Or they will face Oregon.
Yeah, they'll face Oregon. Their only loss is to USC, who is in the top 25, but it's like 22.
22, yeah.
Yeah, so they really haven't had an amazing schedule, but then again, they are winning, so like that's the biggest thing,
Yeah, I mean, they can only play who they play, And,
exactly.
And if they keep winning, they should deserve to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they really haven't played any top teams. Like that's basically it. I mean, like Washington's a good team, but they've had like a lot of they've lost a lot more this year. So
they're not even at 25. So
Utah probably amongst everyone is the only one without any valuable wins at all. Mm-hmm. They literally don't have a single top 25 win. So
that Oregon game will be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, like, basically, they're probably gonna have to like blow them out to really get in there, like how OSU was against Wisconsin that one year.
Yeah, and they might still be looking in even further than we were at that point.
True.
So yeah, it's a steep uphill battle for Utah to get in, but anything can happen. And I would love it. I would love to face Georgia, Alabama, or Utah. I'd be a little bit worried about Oklahoma. That's me personally, though. I know you said the same thing, except for you would be okay with Oklahoma. You'd be a little bit worried about Bama. Because Bama's still a great team, but I think they lost their best player. So their two best players.
And their defense isn't the same as it has been in the past few years. So I really think that those are all winnable games for us. I think the best teams, the toughest teams to face will be LSU and Clemson, and hopefully we avoid them in the first round. Until we can get to the CFP championship. Yeah. So this week is going to be a huge week. As we said, it's rivalry week, the best week in college football. Not only because LSU plays Michigan, but there's always other great games. You've got Cincinnati against Memphis. That's 18 versus 19. That'll be a huge game. Then you got that's actually Friday, so that'll be a good game to watch tonight. That'll be on ABC.
Oh, Okay.
It's not even tonight. It's at 3:30. So hopefully you're listening to this before 3:30, or else
You'll miss it.
Yeah. But on Saturday, OSU and Michigan face off at 12, which is kind of perfect because there's not really any huge 12 o'clock games. So everyone will have eyes on that game, not just because it's a huge game, but it's the biggest game of the time.
Michigan and Ohio State always play at noon.
Yeah, it's just like before the season started, that was written off as a 12 o'clock game. Like, it's never going to change.
That's the way it should be, too.
Yep. And then at 3:30, that's the two big games besides our game. You've got Alabama against Auburn, and that's going to be a huge game because that's literally Alabama's chance to get into the CFP. In my opinion, they got to blow them out to really get in, to prove anything, because that's their last game of the season. They don't have a conference championship to prove anything else. And surprisingly, I guess you could say it's not so surprising because it is at Auburn, they're without Tua, but they're only 3-point favorites in that game.
The Iron Bowl is always crazy. It's the Iron Bowl, right? That's what it is? Okay.
Yeah. Like, some people try to say that it's a bigger rivalry than Michigan-OSU. I would disagree big time, but
it's one of those games where anything can happen. I remember a few years ago, I'm sure you remember this as well, the Ricardo Lewis 103-yard kick return or field return for a touchdown. That was literally one of the craziest moments ever.
Yeah, I will still say forever that that's the craziest play I've ever seen in college football. But the other thing, too, is at 3:30, Wisconsin, Minnesota, that will be huge, too, because that has huge ramifications to who we're going to be playing in the Big Ten Championship. Doesn't really have CFP implications because both of them are pretty much out of CFP chances. You could technically say that Minnesota, if they beat us in the Big Ten Championship, has a little bit of a chance to get into the CFP, but that'll be huge. That game, I will hopefully, after the Michigan game, we'll find a bar that's not too rowdy that we can go to watch the game at. If not, we'll be driving, watching this game while we were stuck in traffic. So that game will be huge. Wisconsin, Minnesota, 8 versus 12 at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, 2.5-point favorites right now, which I'm not too surprised about. But it is in Minnesota, so that'll be a big deal too. But the fact that Wisconsin has won this game 14 times in a row now, that has huge psychological.
They're in their heads.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Which is a big deal for this Michigan game. Is last year, we like the story of that game last year was that we won that game before Michigan even got to the shoe. We were in their heads. We were in Jim Harbaugh's head, and I don't think it's anything different this year. I think we're still in their heads. I don't think that means we're going to blow them out, but we're in their heads for sure.
That Michigan team last year, I thought, is probably better than the Michigan team this year. What do you think?
I would agree. Yeah. They don't have any first-round guys like they had. They had, 2 first-round guys last year? They don't have any of that this year.
Yeah, they had – I thought their team last year was, really scarily good, you know?
Yeah.
And, they lost Rashawn Gary, who is tied all time for the highest graded recruit ever. There's 7 guys that have ever gotten a perfect 1, and Rashawn Gary's one of them. And it's 7 guys in the last 25 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Rashawn Gary's one of them.
Amazing.
And Devin Bush is also amazing. I don't know if he was as high as a recruit guy.
Yeah.
Yep. They lost 3 components of their defensive line. So, and I think that's really hurt them this year because they've been kind of getting gashed.
They have, yeah. They gave up 28 to Penn State. And, I know that ever since that Penn State game, they've been a lot better. They killed Notre Dame. They've been playing their best football right at the right time. That's the only reason I give a little concern for the game, but still, I'm ready for this game, and we'll get more into it a little bit. But real quick, just to add some things to it, Dobbins, Okudah, Chase Young, and Justin Fields all invited to the awards ceremony at the end of the year, the night before the Heisman night, I think it is. They're all given finalists for their respective positions. So best position, they're the only team I think with that has been invited 4 players this year. So that's a huge deal. Yeah. And then also offensive line. Yeah, Jeff Okudah, best corner. J.K. Dobbins, best running back. Chase Young, best defensive player and best defensive end. And Justin Fields, best quarterback.
So it's like we have 5 representatives almost, which is crazy. That's absurd.
Yeah, because our offensive line too. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a coach up there, like a best assistant coach, or even maybe best coach with Ryan Day. I don't know.
Or best for Brian Hartline.
I know, that'd be huge. And then the other thing is Heisman watch. So, I mean, we've kind of talked about it. We feel that Joe Burrow's kind of locked it up already. It's his to win now. It's his to lose.
It's his to lose, yeah.
But the other thing is that ESPN every week, they come out with their Heisman watch, their rankings, where they all vote. And there are a decent amount of them vote on it. Joe Burrow does have the number 1 spot with 48 total points and 8 first-place votes. But surprisingly, because of the fact that I don't think he's talked about enough, but Chase Young, they had him at number 2, only 8 votes away, 8 points away from Joe Burrow.
No way.
He had 40 points and 2 first-place votes, too.
That's significant. That's actually pretty significant.
And I think that basically locks him up to be invited to the finalist ceremony.
If LSU loses, you literally never know at that point, because it really is so much about winning. That's the reason why he's been he has been incredible on the field, but they've also are undefeated, Yeah. So it's kind of 50-50. You can be amazing, and if your team's poop, I think that it really hurts your cause a lot. But so if LSU falls this week or something, you never know. Chase might be in the short list to get in here. Yeah,
or if Joe Burrow has a bad game against Georgia in the SEC championship. That's the thing too, is it depends on whether they get the hope is that they'll get their vote in after the Big Ten championship game, because some people do vote before that game, which is stupid in my opinion. Because
I hate that.
The conference championship is still part of the season. It's not a bowl game, So that was a big thing that happened last year, was that they voted after, and that was a reason that